Hi everyone.
Hi everybody.
Today's case study is going to be, it's actually called Hashimoto's disease. It's a type of hypothyroidism. So the basically what's happening is that there is some sort of inflammation around thyroid, and it's causing like a low production of thyroid hormones. So this patient is female, and she was in her mid to late 30s, and so in the beginning, she actually last year October, she starting to have some palpitation during her sleep at night, and which kind of woke her up from her sleep. So palpitation is when you feel your heart beating by itself. Like normally you shouldn't feel your heartbeat at all unless you go running or jogging, and that's the only time that you will feel your own heartbeat. But when you're resting or when you're lying down or when it's quiet, you really shouldn't feel your own heartbeat or hear the heartbeat. If you do, then that means you have palpitation. So a lot of people don't know what that means, and just get it out there. Questions?
No, I know.
Have you had palpitations?
No, maybe from my jogging, but other than that, no, I never.
Actually, I had it before when I was a teenager, or when I was younger. Like when I lie in bed at night, I can like really almost like when you go exercise and then the heart was pounding hard, and you can feel like boom 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 boom, boom, that kind of. It's not really fast, but you can definitely feel the heart pounding. So this patient was the main reason that she suspected something was because her palpitation at night. Also, she started to experience that she needs to get up during the night to use the washroom to pee. So, and I think she went to our family doctor or hospital for a blood test, and the blood test came back her TSH base. So the TSH is an indication of her thyroid hormones. Her TSH level is 7.75. So remember from last episode, when this TSH level is high, that means your thyroid hormone is low. And when the TSH level is very low, and that means the thyroid hormone there's a lot. So it's like opposite indicator. And there's also one thing called TPO. This number, she was I think the normal range was like let me check, from 0 to 100. And this patient, when she did the blood test, it was 1770. So that's like 18 times above normal range, and this indicates that basically there's some sort of inflammation around her thyroid, and her doctor kind of diagnosed her condition to be, it's called Hashimoto's thyroid disease. So it's basically thyroiditis, inflammation of the thyroid causing the abnormal of the thyroid hormones. So she took the prescription drugs from her doctor for about 2 weeks. It's for her palpitation, and after 2 weeks, she felt that the palpitation kind of calmed down a bit, and then she actually, because she is a friend of mine, and then she doesn't live in Vancouver, so I did the diagnosis, and through through online messaging, and then I, based on her all the questionnaires that she did, I gave her a prescription to try, because it's really difficult when I don't see, when I cannot feel the patient's pulse or check the abdomen. So because those contains very important critical informations to help me with the diagnosis. But she's willing to take the chance with me, so that's why I decided to help her. Normally I wouldn't take anyone if I cannot see them. So her other thing is that more severe symptom is that her hands and feet are extremely cold. Like even in summertime, they're still cold. So, and also she has really, really bad constipation. She probably goes once a week or even less. And her stools are really hard, and sometimes they're like sheep poop, so like round pebbles. So I gave her the herbal formula. It's called Jinghui Senqi Wan, which is kind of improve her kidney functions, to warm up her hands and feet. So, because in Chinese medicine, kidney governs our urination and defecation. So based on her overall symptoms and overall presentation, I gave her that prescription. She took it for about a week or so, or 2 weeks, and she reported back that her constipation is a little bit better. It's now, and then it was twice a week, so increasing from once a week to twice a week. And she thought it was already pretty normal, but according to our standard, it's actually far from normal. And then she said that her stool is no longer like sheep poops. It's not as hard, so like the shape is normal. It's like a sausage shape, not too hard, not too soft. And urination is a little bit better. She doesn't need to get up in the middle of the night, but she does get up around like 5 to 6 a.m. to pee. And then for about two weeks or 3 weeks after that, I took a trip to Taiwan, and I met her and gave her like a full checkup. And then I realized that the formula I gave her wasn't completely suitable for her, because I was missing important piece of information from her pulse and from her abdomen. So remember I said when you have pain or distension under your ribs, can you see that? Ribs, under the ribs. So here are the ribs. It's like this shape. So when you have discomfort when I press, or when somebody press on it, that indicates the herb called Chai Hu. So the formula I gave her did not have Chai Hu at all. And so that only, because that doesn't suit her completely, so she only improves part of her symptoms. So after I saw her, I gave her a different formula, which you might have heard me talking about. It's called Chai Hu Jia Long Gu Mo Li Tang, but this time it's the Da Huang is removed from that formula, because when I check her abdomen, she doesn't have the indication for Da Huang, Da Huang is a herb that kind of push everything down from in your GI tract, so from your digestive system, from stomach to your small intestine, large intestine. So kind of has that descending function. So if you have like food stuck in your stomach or stool stuck in your intestine, 大黄 is a herb to use to kind of help you move along. And when I checked her abdomen, so she didn't have the indication for 大黄. So that's why I removed that. And she took it for a week, and she reported back that her constipation is a little bit better. Constipation. Yes, a little bit better. Frequent urination is because the frequent urination is a little bit better too. And the palpitation has decreased the severity. But then because it's still not as good as I expected, so because the formula I gave her was like a patent formula, it's like a pre-mixed formula that I couldn't do any adjustments, and I told her to get extra herbs to add into the formula to adjust the ratios. And then she didn't report back until mid-January. She said that after that her constipation is now even so less constipated, still about twice a week, but she felt like every time she goes it's emptied, it's smooth, no unfinished feeling, and she doesn't need to get up at nighttime to pee. She doesn't so not even 5 o'clock in the morning, but she still had palpitations from time to time. So I decided to add Da Huang into that formula, and it was a little bit difficult to, because I came back like from Taiwan in like mid-December, and I wasn't able to see her in person, so I kind of have to, based on whatever she told me, so I gave her Da Huang and then in the formula, and then she's starting to have some diarrhea, so I told her to adjust the amount she's taking based on her the quality of her stool. So we want to have like a formed stool, not something like diarrhea or loose stool. So she was having a little bit difficulty adjusting that herself, because when she takes a little bit too much, it becomes diarrhea. A little bit less, it becomes constipation. But she was still taking it, and then finally in early February, she went for a second blood test. The blood test came back that her TSH level is 3.97, which is within normal range, so she no longer has hypothyroid. Her TPO has decreased a little bit to 1500 from 1770. So there is still some sort of inflammation going on, but her hormone level is normal. Palpitation is much less, and but somehow she still experienced that she needs to get up at 5 a.m. to pee. So her symptoms kind of went back and forth a little bit. But the thyroid hormone level is now normal. So I told her that even though your number is normal, you still need to continue taking the formula until her urination is completely normal. That means no getting up at nighttime to pee. After you have a glass of water, you don't need to go to the bathroom within an hour. And the palpitation should be completely gone, and bowel movement should be every day, at least once a day in a formed shape. So she's still, based on the Chinese medicine standard, she still has a long way to go. but in the Western medicine standard, she's pretty healthy, okay now. She no longer has the disease. So she hasn't reported back since then. So the thing with this type of person who needs Chai Hu Jia Long Gu Mu Li Tang is this type of person are usually very tense. They give themselves a lot of pressure. They can be like, they have OCD, they're control freak, little things give them a lot of stress. So for this type of person, their health tend to get better when they take the medicine. But if there is something going on in their life affecting their emotion, giving them a lot of stress, their symptom can just bounce back right away. So it's a little bit, throughout my description, you can tell that her symptom kind of goes sometimes better, sometimes worse. So that's why.
I have a question. When you briefing her symptoms, you didn't mention anything about her menstrual cycle. So does that mean that her thyroid hormone is a different system from her normal female hormone? I don't have the word for
Okay, actually that's a very good point. I should have looked at her periods, but I didn't for some reason.
Because the reason why I asked is we went back to see her in December, and I was there as well. So I vaguely remember that you did ask her about her menstrual cycle, and then she did say that it's pretty on time. So I'm just wondering, when someone's health is shows a very significant I don't know if it's dangerous or anyway, she wasn't in her best shape, and then funny how that her period was still normal. Is it possible, or it just
it's possible
happens?
I have a bad memory, so because she's a friend of mine, I didn't really record her medical record as I supposed to. So that's why when I didn't mention her menstruation at all, I completely forgot about it. But now I remember she did say when I asked her about her period, it did seem normal at the time when I saw her in December. But I forgot to follow up, and I just assumed that her period would be okay after that. It would be a good indication. I should have followed up, find out more about how her period is. Sometimes the disease doesn't affect the period, but a lot of times, I would say 80% of the time it does, because for female patients, menstruation is a very good telltale sign of your health condition. So any symptoms that you had, like maybe it's a very mild symptom, it will get exaggerated before and during period. So around the time of period. So if you have constipation, it tends to get worse during the period, or if you have diarrhea, you get more easily to get diarrhea during the period. So sometimes it's very difficult to pinpoint where the problem is, because everything is so mild, like nothing really jumps out. So for female patients, it's a little bit easier when I look at their menstruation.
Yeah, because I remember that because she's my friend actually, and I know that she always have cold hands and feet, and I used to have similar situation, and then when I had cold hands and feet, my menstrual cycle was always off. So just that's why I remembered that she is the total opposite of what happened to me. So I'm just very curious why her menstrual cycle wasn't affected as much, but you should follow up on that.
Yeah, so after last chat with her in around late February, I gave her a new formula to take. It's combination of 小柴胡汤 and 当归芍药散. So in 当归芍药散, there are two herbs, 当归 and 川芎, which is typically used 当归 and 白芍, which is typically used to we say tonify blood, so basically help your body produce the blood that it needs. And because her cold hands and feet has since October, it never improved at all. I forgot to mention it didn't improve. So that means the formula I gave her didn't completely fit her body type. So that's why I was looking at another direction and told her to get a different formula to take it for a couple weeks and report back. So when the hands and feet are very cold, it can be an indication of you lack blood. You don't have enough blood supply in your body, so the blood supply isn't enough, so the circulation in your extremity isn't so good, and that will cause the cold hands and feet. So that's the direction I was going at, but I hasn't heard her feedback since then, so I don't know how that is going.
Will you consider 附子 or?
Actually, I did. 附子is a formula that is a herb that is very warm, and the indication usually is that when the patient feels very cold from the inside of his or her body, and cold extremity is also an indication. So the patient will have really cold limbs even in summertime. The first formula I gave her, 金匮肾气丸, it does have 附子 in it, but she took it for a few weeks and her hands and feet did not improve at all. So that kind of indicates maybe 附子 isn't right for her. And plus, when you need 附子, another important indication is that usually there is some type of joint issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like a joint pain or joint stiffness, any type of joint issue.
How about like 四逆汤?
四逆汤
to warm up her system.
Because 四逆汤 has 干姜 and 附子 and 炙甘草. So 干姜, when you need 干姜, that means the person has very cold digestive system. The patient doesn't want to drink water at all. It doesn't feel thirsty at all, and the person will usually they have diarrhea more easily than people around them. So she did not have the indication for ganjiang. That's why I did not prescribe 四逆汤 for her.
Because that's my next question. That I know 四逆汤 has ganjiang. A lot of people, when we have a cold or it's cold, we always want to have hot water with ginger or ginger sugar. So is that a correct practice, or that's another just hearsay? It doesn't apply to everybody's cold. Just
ganjiang is ganjiang or senjiang, fresh ginger. Ganjiang is dried ginger. The purpose of that is to warm up your digestive system. So when you have a really cold type of stomach or cold type of digestive system, we will use that. And a cold a cold, let's call cold gut, it sometimes it would lead to cold extremity, but cold extremely doesn't always mean the gut is cold.
Okay.
So cold hands and feet doesn't always mean the gut is cold.
And doesn't mean that it's a reflection of the current weather or the room temperature. That's
What do you
like
mean?
you have a cold gut. Doesn't mean that the surrounding is cold. That's why you're cold.
Right, so when you have a cold gut, it's usually, when we say cold, that means the metabolism is low, the blood circulation is not as great.
So a person can have a cold gut even in a hot summertime.
Oh yeah, of course. If you, in the summertime, even in tropical area, people living in tropical area can have cold gut because they're constantly ingesting like cold fluids, beers, drinks, fruits that helps them kind of reduce the body temperature. But if you consume too much, it will lead to like a really cold gut, and that's why some people, after eating too much ice or ice cream or whatever cold ice stuff, and they will tend to have more diarrhea.
I see.
Okay,
Yeah. And
so
do we have an announcement to make?
I will make a separate video.
Okay. All right.
Bye bye.
Bye.